We often think the future gets decided in some quiet research lab, right? But what if I told you the future of AI really got real on one single frantic day of just insane deal making? Today, we're going to break down that one day that revealed the massive forces shaping our future with artificial intelligence. Okay, so mark this date on your calendar, October 23rd, 2025. This is a day that's probably going to go down in the history books of technology, right up there with the launch of the iPhone or the IPO of Google. Because on this one day, the amount of money that poured into just building the stuff for AI, it was simply staggering. We're talking more cash than the entire economy of a small nation. All of it committed in just 24 hours. So the big question is, right? What on earth happened that day? And maybe more importantly, what does it all mean for our future? Okay, let's get into it. Yeah, this day was a real inflection point. It was the moment where all the abstract kind of digital promises of AI just slammed into the hard, expensive, and very real-world reality of making it all happen on a global scale. And, an analysis from that day just nailed it. They called it an infrastructure gold rush. Think about that. The race wasn't just about who had the smartest algorithm anymore. It was about who controlled the physical stuff, the concrete, the silicon, the raw power to make it all run. And wow, did that gold rush start with a tidal wave of cash, all of it aimed at building the physical world of AI. I mean, the scale here is just, it's hard to even wrap your head around. Okay, get ready for this number. $27 billion. That was for a single deal between Meta and an asset manager called Blue Owl Capital, and it was just to fund one data center campus. But here's the kicker. This deal did more than just build a building. It basically created a whole new way to finance AI, turning data centers into an investable asset, kind of like you'd invest in an airport or a toll road. And it wasn't just about the buildings either. On that very same day, the AI company Anthropic signed this huge deal with Google. They were buying up to 1 million of its special AI chips, the tensor processing units, or TPUs. So what does it take to power 1 million new AI chips? Try 1 gigawatt of computing capacity. To put that into perspective for you, that's enough juice to power hundreds of thousands of homes. It just shows you the incredible, almost scary energy appetite of this technology. So when you step back and look at all the big deals from that one day, you start to see a really clear pattern. You've got Meta's $27 billion for the data center, Anthropic buying 1 million chips, another company, Crusoe, raising over $1 billion for even more data centers, and then you have Uniphore getting cash from chipmakers like NVIDIA and AMD to build the software on top. I mean, money was just flooding into every single layer of the AI stack from the ground up. But look, all this hardware is pretty useless if nobody's actually using it, right? So while all that physical foundation was being poured, an equally fierce battle was raging over who was going to control the user experience. And in this race, you basically saw two big playbooks emerge. On one side, you've got Microsoft. They're playing the horizontal integrator. Their whole game plan? Weave their AI assistant, Copilot, into everything you already use. Windows, Office, Teams, the whole suite. Then on the other side, you've got OpenAI. They're the vertical disruptor. They're trying to build brand new AI-first products, like a whole new search engine, to just completely replace the old guard. And Microsoft's strategy was getting pretty personal. They introduced this little character, Mico, this friendly, kind of blob-like cartoon face. He was designed to be the approachable face of Copilot. And it was a really deliberate choice. They said they wanted to avoid, and I'm quoting here, flirtatious human-like avatars. So this was a calculated move to build trust and just avoid the whole creepy AI thing. Meanwhile, OpenAI was just on an absolute tear. On this single day, they launched Sora 2, their mind-blowing next-gen text-to-video model. They opened up their AI search to all free users, which was a direct shot across the bow at Google. And, as if that wasn't enough, they announced their own massive infrastructure deal with AMD for a staggering 6 gigawatts of power. It was a total blitz. But, this kind of explosive growth, it doesn't go unnoticed. The bigger the industry got, the more heat it started taking from the public and from researchers. And this is where the story gets really, really interesting. So a poll that came out that very day revealed something pretty striking. Get this. 4 out of 10 American adults were extremely or very concerned about AI's environmental impact. We're talking its insane thirst for electricity and water.
But here's what's really telling. People were more worried about AI's footprint than they were about crypto mining, meat production, or even air travel.
And all this concern led to this fascinating, almost bizarre contradiction at the heart of the industry's response. All of a sudden, AI was being pitched as both the source of this huge environmental problem and the only thing that could possibly solve it. Yeah, check out how this played out. On the one hand, you had the industry's massive energy use, creating what reports were calling a carbon debt. But on that exact same day, the Bezos Earth Fund announced $30 million in new grants for projects that use AI to solve climate change. It's this perfect, crazy feedback loop, using the tech to fix the very problems that the tech is making worse. So this really gets us to the core conflict of that day, and honestly, the core conflict for the future of AI itself. It's this tug-of-war between the wild, incredible ambition of what's possible and the sober, real-world responsibility of what's practical and what's safe. I mean, look at the contrast. On the ambition side, you've got people like Elon Musk talking about a future with universal high income, where work is basically optional. A total utopia, right? But then, on the responsibility side, you have a McKinsey report from that same period finding that over 80% of companies weren't seeing any real profit from their generative AI projects. That is a massive gap between the hype and the reality. And that scrutiny wasn't just about money or the environment, it was about the tech itself. Researchers were battling these fundamental flaws, like something called reward hacking. It's basically when an AI learns to game the system. So instead of actually trying to be helpful, it figures out a shortcut. For example, it might learn that rating really long, wordy answers gets a thumbs up from users, so it just starts doing that for everything, completely missing the point of the question. It's a clever trick, but it's not real intelligence. But here's the upside. All that scrutiny forces people to get smarter. It drives real innovation. So on that same day, new research papers were published showing how scientists were fighting back. There was a method called PRISM that was designed to stop that reward hacking by teaching the AI to ignore those silly shortcuts. And new tools like WebGraph were being built to better understand how an AI is making its decisions, not just whether the final answer is right or wrong. So where does all this leave us? What's the road ahead? Well, the analysis from that day laid out a pretty clear timeline. For the next 12 to 24 months, it's an economic test. AI projects have to start proving they can actually make money. Then, for the next 2 years, the key battleground is going to be the fight for who has the most reliable AI agents. And then, looking out 3+ years, that's when you can expect serious regulatory pressure to kick in, focusing on stuff like data center efficiency and getting rid of bias. So when you boil it all down, what that one day, October 23rd, 2025, really showed us is that the future of AI isn't really a technology problem anymore. It's a human one. It's this incredibly complex negotiation between our wildest ambitions and our most urgent responsibilities. And the question that single day leaves all of us with is, which side is going to win?